Steve is now muted. Welcome to the Sports Porch. The Porch is live. ThePorchIsLive.com. And thank you for listening to us on American Busker, iHeartRadio.
Thank you, iHeartRadio.
Can't tell you how much we appreciated that. We had a 4-hour run last night on iHeartRadio, and it was fantastic.
It was
fantastic.
I mean, call me crazy, but they keep playing our shows.
All right, and we're going to jump right into it because there's a lot of stuff being thrown around right now. A lot of stuff. Hopefully, Steve will speak up into the microphone a little bit this week. There you go. That works. That works.
Is that better?
Yes. And I'm Chris. That guy over there is Steve. That guy down there is Mark. We are on the same porch, and our porch is your porch. So welcome to the porch.
I don't know. I think my porch looks nicer.
It actually does. Your porch looks beautiful.
Like if I was going to a porch, I would not go to Mark's porch.
No, my porch sucks.
Yeah,
I mean, let's just be honest.
Even though it's all the same porch. Okay, we're gonna jump right into this right now. No more. There's so much stuff being thrown out around there, and these guys know. I like to liken myself to a bit of an author, and so we're gonna pull this up right now. If you go to theporchislive.com. You will see my latest take on the Steelers Jags, on the preseason game and what's going on. And
what are you pulling up there, Kenny?
As you can see,
Old Kenny.
It's Pickettsburg.
Mr. Rose-colored
Pickettsburg.
glasses.
So, guys, listen. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you.
I'm glad. I'm glad you're not.
You sure? I think maybe we should.
Well, last week you said it was surprisingly well written, so I figured maybe I would get the same.
This week was kind of a step back to the norm.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I will highlight one thing on here. Everyone, I do say everyone on the porch knows I'm a Pickett groupie. Absolutely. But my big takeaway from this game was that it's more of an offensive line issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of an offensive line issue. And I'll pull the article down. If you guys want to read the article, if you're listening to us or watching, go to theporchislive.com. That's our website. So going back to the question at hand here, how do you guys feel the Steelers offense looked? And let's start with the quarterback play, and then we can break it down into other parts of this.
Well, the reality is that, you have, when it was important to assess the quarterback play was bad, but it was bad because of the offensive line. I mean, Mitch Trubisky was running for his life, and so was Kenny Pickett. I mean, really, I liked what Pickett did, but again, it's kind of like that 2-minute drill where everybody's just, waiting back there. Mason Rudolph played great, but it was in the fourth quarter against the Scrubs, just like Pickett did the week before.
Right.
What does it really even mean? Right.
Right.
So to be honest, I don't really think anyone stepped forward this week, quarterback wise. I mean, I will agree that Kenny Pickett, as he, because for Kenny in particular, he did go up a level in terms of facing some first teamers and a lot of second teamers. And he continued to play well. So he keeps the conversation going, but I don't think anything really has changed quarterback-wise right now.
All right, so Schwaber, those three quarterbacks, who performed the best preseason game? This one.
Well, actually, it was Mason Rudolph.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right.
Yeah.
Steve?
Speaking about the Steelers' offense, I think their offense took a step back when it came to the running back. The running game was just pitiful. I mean, they couldn't get past the line of scrimmage. And I think the one thing that I noticed the most was that the Steelers pretty much threw on every first down in the first game against the Seahawks. This time they decided, okay, we're going to establish the line of scrimmage. We're just going to run on first down. And it didn't work too well. A lot of times when they became predictable in the run game, I think that they weren't able just to move people out of the way. So to me, that basically means that they're not physical enough in their offensive line. They don't know when to fire out. They don't know when to run people over. And that's a problem. And the fact that you had basically your starting offensive line still in there in the third quarter, and that's a problem too, because that basically means Tomlin was not comfortable with the way the offensive line played, and he wanted to see some good things. And I don't think he saw it the whole game. In fact, he was asked about Trubisky and how well he played. And what ended up happening was that he said how bad the offensive line played.
Right.
And Tom was not a guy to give up information. So when he wants to get that out there, he's setting the narrative. And actually today when they were watching the film, Kendrick Green said specifically that he got called out in front of everybody for his bad play, and they like showed videos of him, probably getting knocked on his ass or not opening up offensive line. So hopefully that's a little bit of motivation for the offensive line, and they'll get better. I mean, remember, both Kendrick Green, who probably is not going to be starting, I think Dodson did a lot better than he did, and Dan Moore are only in their second year. So once again, we don't really have you don't really know how they're going to play throughout the year. So that's the way I feel about the offense. I agree with the quarterbacks. I think definitely nothing has changed. Kenny and Mason just kind of switched spots. And, everybody's talking about, at least here in Pittsburgh, everybody's talking about how, well, Kenny didn't play very many. He only played like 8 plays or something like that. Like, you think that Tomlin took it out. Actually, if you watch the game, for the first half of the second half, he was supposed to play the second quarter. For the first half of the second quarter, the Jaguars had the ball most of the time.
Yeah.
So he only had an opportunity to have the ball twice. So by default, he didn't get in as many plays. Now, he did well with those plays, which is why they didn't – I don't think he was going to ever play in the third quarter anyway. So it was kind of like that was it. He did what he had to do, and then he was out. I don't think it had anything to do with they wanted to save him because their offensive line was too bad. I think that's bullshit. I think that was the plays he was given. He did well with them, and Tomlin said, good enough.
Now, Klein, let's throw out your Kenny Pickett conspiracy theories.
But I didn't know I had conspiracy theories, but all right, let me hear
going to start. So there's a conspiracy.
Right.
Well, no, it's not that I think he's going to start. What I think is, and what I wrote on the porcheslive.com is that, because of the inadequacy of the offensive line and the fact that they were basically auditioning different players at different positions on the line, for Trubisky, there was nothing he could do. Okay. He didn't get a chance to actually play quarterback. He was pretty much running for his life. So if anything, it highlighted the fact that he's very mobile and he has escapability. So that's a plus for him.
It is.
And considering that he's most likely the guy that should be, now remember I said that, should be the starting quarterback, my takeaway is that, okay, there's a dimension of his game is good. When Pickett comes in and plays the way he did, what I see is, like you said, Schwaber, a step up. Okay. Now he's playing against guys that are most likely going to play or be second stringers. Once again, he takes command of the huddle. He makes decisions and he knows where he's going to put the ball. And, there was a video online earlier today of Bill Cowher, and they asked him what he would look for in his starting quarterback if he was given this situation. And what he said is, I would look mostly for the guy who has the confidence and can take control in the huddle. That's how I would make my decision. He did say that, potentially with Kenny Pickett where he is, and because of the offensive line situation, he would probably shy away from Pickett being the starting quarterback. However, it doesn't mean that wouldn't be the case. Okay. Rudolph, when you guys say Rudolph performed the best, well, he's a guy that, once again, he still pushed the ball into places he shouldn't push the ball. And I think Rudolph is a good backup quarterback. I don't think he's on this roster this whole season. I just don't. I could be completely wrong.
I think he is. And I think the reason why he is is the offensive line. I think they feel like they might need 3 quarterbacks. And to be honest, let's be real here. They're not going to get much for Mason Rudolph. If they get a 6th round pick, they should be jumping for joy. So would they trade him for a 4th? Probably, but I don't think they're going to get a 4th.
Yeah.
So you might as well just keep him.
You never know what some team's going to need down the line, but you could be right. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think now flipping this over, I think that if the offensive line performed very well or looked to be solid, I think you might see Kenny Pickett as the starting quarterback.
There would be a better chance of it.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's true. I think Kenny Pickett is definitely needs more work. He needs to learn more of the playbook. You're right with the things you say. He looks good. He took a step up. He went from the 3rd. He played against a bunch of guys who are going to be unemployed to a couple of guys who probably will be employed, and he did better. So it would be nice to see him play in that first role, but we're not going to because we only get 3 games. So that means Trubisky's they're gonna do what they call a dress rehearsal probably, which means Trubisky's gonna have the offense for the first half, and then that's it. And then whoever plays after that, I'm sure Pickett will play, but he's not going to get a chance to play with the number ones. And actually, he shouldn't get a chance to play with the number ones. And here's why: Trubisky is new to the team. He still is learning the playbook also, but he has been handed the reins to the number 1 position, and he hasn't lost it. So you don't put a rookie quarterback in there when your first pick at your number 1 position quarterback needs to play a little bit more and needs to play with all the number 1s, because that's where you're going to need to be when you play against Cincinnati in 3 weeks. Yeah,
and I agree. And we've talked about the quarterbacks, and as I said on the porcheslive.com, I actually think the Steelers have a good problem. If you think about it, they've got 3 serviceable quarterbacks, a rookie who's really, he's older than some quarterbacks in the league right now that have been starting for 2 years. So a rookie that has some maturity and skills, a guy in Trubisky who definitely, he was a starting quarterback in Chicago and can play the game, and an adequate backup in Rudolph who knows? So I actually think they have a good problem. The real issue is one that we all agree on. That offensive line looks horrible. And that leads me to the next point that I brought up in my column, which is, the running game. Now, we all assume that Najee Harris, of course, we haven't seen him. He's going to carry the load. Okay. But the big problem is I don't care whether that guy thinks he can carry the ball 400 or 500 times in a season. All right. No physical human is going to take that kind of beating and last any length of time. So who is going to step up and be number 2? And I don't see anybody. In the first column on the Porches Live, I talked about Jaylen Warren. I was talking about him making the team and being kind of an exciting, third down option.
Right.
Yeah.
What I'm saying
Still
is
think that's true.
Benny Snell hasn't showed us any sort of reason that he should be second. TJ McFarland actually looks like he has a little more pep in his step. This is going to be a huge problem, even if that line can figure itself out. This is going to be a huge problem.
Who was released today in a cost-cutting move is Kenyon Drake.
Kenyon Drake?
He'd be a perfect number 2.
You think so?
They don't need another running back. They've got plenty of running backs. They're just not as good as Najee. So Najee's your guy, and the only way any of these other guys matter is if Najee gets hurt.
And Brad Trombley's in the house. Good evening, guys. Hey, Brad, how are you?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
Good evening.
So that's the way I feel about it. I think everybody's a little antsy because, Najee hasn't played yet. So is he healthy? Of course he's healthy.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that.
He's going to play. He'll play the first half against Detroit. He'll look good, and nobody will be worried anymore. And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's what comes behind him.
But remember, Najee last year didn't have anybody behind him last year either, and it didn't seem to be a problem.
Yeah.
And the offensive line was horrible.
Yeah.
So if it's the same offensive line and you get the same Najee, it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
It's still a top 10 running back in the league.
But
if somehow the offensive line can find a way to run block better, which they showed signs of it in the first preseason game. If they can get back to that, and Najee can get through a hole and he can get to the secondary, then we've got something, I think.
I see. My problem here is that they're kind of doing a disservice to Najee and whoever the quarterback is. They should have done more on the offensive line. You could have signed a better free agent for a spot. You could have. I mean, now call me crazy here, okay? Call me crazy. But Kenny Pickett was picked like what, number 20?
20th pick, yep.
Yeah, he was the 20th pick.
And then the next quarterback, went in the 3rd round?
Yeah.
That's correct.
They could have picked an offensive lineman and probably traded up and got Kenny Pickett in the 2nd round.
Yeah, but then they don't get George Pickens. I don't think you can do that.
Yeah.
I think they've already decided, like Tomlin really likes, like last year, who did he pick? He picked Najee, and then he went for Freiermuth. I mean, did they need Freiermuth last year? No. Could they have gotten an offensive lineman there? Yes. But they didn't. They waited till the third round. Tomlin likes to have big players, and he thinks the only way to get the big players is to pick them in the first couple rounds. So their problem is they banked with Daniels and Mason, the center, and they're okay, but they're not great. So that's the problem. Well, and it's an educated guess. They thought they would be good enough. Clearly, they're not, and now they're stuck with it. And there's nothing they can do.
Well,
it's
an interesting concept, though. Like because really, you would think, at least I sort of see a shift. There's a shift from the old Steelers to the new Steelers. In the old Steelers, it was build from within the lines. And then fill in the skill positions after the fact, and now it seems to be the opposite.
It is.
And while I will say this, you have a much better chance of hitting on the skill positions in the early rounds. You also have a much lesser chance of hitting on the linemen in the lesser rounds. So I think it's something just to think about in terms of their strategy moving forward. But
yeah,
no, I agree with that.
Yeah, but going back to Najee Harris. What I fear is that they're not going to maximize on the potential that he has. Like, if he was playing with a great offensive line, you could talk 1,600 yard season, 17 touchdowns. Like, he might be the best or top 3 running back in the league. I'm fearful that with what he's given, you're looking at maybe 1,100, 9 touchdowns, and he's hit a million times in the backfield.
Well, and those stats aren't bad, but it's that hit a million times in the backfield.
Right.
Okay, so obviously we got one more preseason game coming up. Hopefully we'll look for some improved line play. Tim Pomato says, "Good evening, guys. You're all off to a great start. Thank you." Brad, actually, DG is in the house again. DG, they just released an offensive tackle and picked up another one today. Like a revolving door until they find someone acceptable. Exactly. And what I would say is this year, obviously we're kind of set at the question marks on the line. They're either going to figure out how to work together or they're not. We know what the results are going to be one way or the other. Okay. The way I see it right now is barring any injury or this team implodes and only wins 3 games next year, your first round pick better be an offensive lineman.
It has to be.
That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. So let's move on here. Let's talk a little bit about the receivers because I think this is the first game we saw all 3 starting wide receivers get action. And Brad Trombley has a question for us. He says, any chance that they trade Claypool for some offensive help? I'm going to answer that my way right now. No. Not now.
Well, I will tell you what
now.
I will tell you what I think. I think the answer is no. Because Claypool is incredibly talented,
right? And
I don't think they want to give up on him this soon. But the answer should be yes. Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. You could. I mean, there are, for example, I'll use the Philadelphia Eagles. They have a left tackle named Andre Dillard that was a first-round draft pick that's pretty darn good. Now, it just so happens that they got lucky in the 7th round and picked a guy, Jordan Milada, who's now, pretty much on the precipice of becoming a Pro Bowler. So he's a backup now. You could get him for Claypool. And that guy would be probably the best offensive lineman on the Steelers. And I'm sure there's a number of situations like that out there. Do you really need him? I mean, you've committed to Johnson for 2 years. Pickens certainly seems like he's a starting wide receiver, if not a star receiver in the making. What do you really need him for?
You want to take that one, Steve?
I mean, this is all just gobbledygook, if you ask me.
That's a great word. That's a great sports word, gobbledygook.
I mean, they're stuck with the offensive line that they have. You can't go out and get somebody better. They screwed up. They'll never admit it. They drafted poorly when it came to the offensive line. They thought they had a guy with Kendrick Green who was good, and they thought Dan Moore would take a step forward. He took a step back.
Okay.
So
But the
problem.
question was, we were talking about the receivers.
I get it, but you're saying the premise here is trading one of your starting wide receivers for some unknown offensive lineman.
Right.
The guy doesn't exist. There's no guy out there that you can trade Claypool for and get an all-pro offensive left tackle, and suddenly you're better. Offensive left tackles are like cornerbacks. They're a precious commodity in the NFL, and people hoard them and pay them $20 million to protect their quarterbacks.
Yeah.
We don't have one. It's time to admit that. We
Right.
don't have one. So what did they do? They went out and got Trubisky, and they drafted Pickett because these guys can move out of the pocket. We're not going to have Ben anymore. Ben was the quarterback that stood in the pocket. When he felt the pressure, he somehow managed to slip it. Didn't do that in the last 3 to 5 years. So now we've got quarterbacks who can move the pocket. You're just going to have to move the pocket. The reality is, oh, look, a nice rainbow right above me.
There you go.
Right there.
There it is.
And so that's a sign that what I'm saying is correct.
Well,
a rainbow.
Well, I mean, but here's my thought on it is like, so let's just say we give a letter grade to a player. I mean, would you say Claypool is? You probably wouldn't say he's an A receiver. You say he's a B receiver.
Claypool?
Yeah, B plus, A minus.
Let's just stick with A, B, C, D, E.
Okay.
F.
Okay. What would you
He's
say?
a B receiver.
Okay, he's a B receiver.
Yes.
You're right. You can't go out there and get a Pro Bowler, but I do think you could get a B offensive lineman. And that might mean more to this team than Claypool, because you take out Claypool, you put in Pickens.
The reason they won't do it because they think they already have a B lineman in Dan Moore.
Wow.
And they're wrong.
Yeah.
But that's how they assess it. That's how the Steelers are assessing their offensive line. He's going to get better. He's younger. He got better last year. He won't be a train wreck. We'll see. We'll see.
And DG says if Claypool plays to even half of his potential, you have to keep him. So my take on the receiver situation right now is that, you know, you kind of got to push that down the road a little bit. Okay. So you've got Johnson, who's supposed to be the number one, who just signed a big contract, not a big contract, but a big contract for the Steelers. And he's got drop issues. Okay. Mm-hmm. He has not yet played to his potential. If he can catch the ball more often than he drops it all the time, we'll see what he can do. You've got Claypool, who arguably has probably the best physique of these guys. Okay. Yep. And his only real issue has been his maturity level. He's got some super skills.
Agreed.
And then you've got Pickens, who we really can't talk about in the NFL yet because he hasn't played it down. He's played in preseason. Right. He looks like he's got great hands. I know I wrote on the porcheslive.com that he could be the number one. It's possible. So you've got a good situation at quarterback because you've got these three guys. You've got a pretty good situation at receiver. You've got a great running back. You've got a very talented tight end over the middle. Freiermuth looks like he could end up being the real deal. And now we fall all the way back to the offensive line. I mean, there you go.
That's what
everybody knows that's the problem.
But that's what I'm saying. If you take Claypool out, you still got good receivers. If you put a better offensive lineman in, you help Najee and you help the quarterback.
I hear what you're saying, Schwaber. I think what Steve is saying is that sounds like a great idea, but it's just not something that can or is going to happen.
There's nobody good enough, and then on top of that, their strategy is to move the pocket and to do the razzle-dazzle, and do the Canada offense the way you can do it now. You couldn't do it last year with Ben, And what did they do instead? 1, 2, throw it. 1, throw it.
Right.
That's what they had to do. And how
Yeah.
many yards did they get? 2 yards.
Well,
3 yards.
and they do
4
have
yards.
2 more weeks of camp, 2.5 more weeks of camp, and another
camp is closed.
Well, I understand, but I mean, I'm talking about preseason and practice.
You can't go to St. Vincent and watch the Steelers.
No. I realize that. So, is there a possibility that this line, because every line, you've got a bunch of guys here who have not played together. Okay, so every line needs an opportunity to play together and gel. So, is there room for improvement? Yes. Is it possible these guys somehow find that vein between them where they say, okay, now I know where this guy is? Yeah, so let's give him a chance and see what happens. Debbie chimes in, a great Yinzer. She says, hi, Yins, just checking in, and you look and sound like you're having a great time. Well, that's because we are, Debbie.
We are, Debbie.
That's because we
are. Bring
Deb.
rainbows.
That's right. That's right. Steve's ideas bring rainbows.
They do.
Is what really
They do.
happens.
And they're lasting.
All right, so something that Steve really wanted to talk about this week, and we haven't talked about really at all, and the reason is the first preseason game, none of them really played. And we've seen a lot of articles about Devin Bush, and the linebacking core. It's the defense. So, Steve, take us away.
So I'm going to put a caveat on my analysis of the defense by saying I get it. The whole defense hasn't been out there yet. Cam hasn't played a snap, and he is a difference maker. I get it. But I do have to admit they look like they're still that defensive line that gives up the 10-yard run, like out of nowhere. It's like they'll stuff it, then they get a 10-yard run, and then they get a 14-yard run. They still are giving up big pass plays, too. I think those are the things that I've noticed the most from this defense. And that's my concern. Like, Minka hasn't been able to be Minka. He did actually do a blitz on one down. I did notice he missed the quarterback in the backfield. But they got to get Minka to be able to make those splash plays where you can get an interception, make a big sack. And TJ did have a sack, and he only played limited. So I'm really just a little concerned that not having that other inside linebacker. I know they went to get Miles Jack, and he looks great. But not having an edge rusher on the other side and not having a linebacker could be a problem with them. Now, hopefully Cam comes and just fills in the gap and everything's fine.
Right.
They're a top 5 defense. That's what everybody's thinking. I'm thinking it too. But until I see it, and by the way, they have to play Cincinnati in the first game, that's going to be a significant test for them. And the only way they're going to beat that team is if they can make splash plays and get Burrow to throw the ball into interceptions. So that's my concern with the defense. That's it.
Anything to say about that, Schwammer, or is it too early?
No, I don't think it's too early. The Steelers defense, it's kind of an enigma. They have a number of playmakers and some really good ones, like TJ Watt and Cam and Minka. But they also have a lot of sort of underperformers. I agree. There isn't a great pass rush presence besides TJ and Cam. Some teams are rolling out 6-7 guys who can all get to the quarterback. You know what I mean? Linebacker, I think Miles Jack is going to do real well. Major concerns with Devin Bush and the rest of the linebacking core. And that sort of, that impacts a lot of how you play. Minka might not have as many opportunities to come on a safety blitz because he's got to stay back because they know they're going to get by the linebacker like a piece of cake. Right. So, and their corners are kind of like a we'll see. I mean, I think they're okay.
Wallace.
They're okay. So, yeah. So, I mean, the bottom line is they're pretty good, which basically means they're going to do fine against, your teams like the Carolina Panthers, but will they do fine against Jamar Chase?
And T. Higgins.
Right. So, it's kind of a weird defense where they've got an ability. They can play a great game, but they could also really get lit up too.
Yeah.
So I kind of see them honestly as like a middle of the pack defense, kind of somewhere like 12 to 16, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of where I am.
That'll be a bad season if the Steelers defense is at 12-16.
First of all, I just want to chime in here and say that I, for one, am hoping that Mondo makes the team.
Mondo.
Yes, Mondo
The
makes
Frenchman.
the team.
The Frenchman.
Mondo. And number two, I'm very impressed with your word enigma.
Enigma.
I'm very impressed with
it means
that.
mystery.
I thank you for clearing that
Wait,
up for
wait,
me.
let me write
They
that
are
down.
an enigma. They are a mystery. Where I come down on this is kind of where you are, Schwaber. The Steelers, I read this all the time, and I hear the phrase, and we've talked about it. It gets overused. Elite D, elite D, elite D. Well, look, you're not an elite defense until you perform like one. Okay, and last year the Steelers defense did not perform like one.
No.
It doesn't matter that TJ Watt had 22 and a half sacks. Okay, it doesn't
matter.
Hold on, it matters for him. But overall, the defense performed. The defense underperformed. And you cannot have questions in the middle of that defense at linebacker, the questions that the Steelers have, and expect this defense to be an elite defense. Okay? You've got to be able to put pressure on the quarterback every single down that they're going to drop back. Okay? And can TJ Watt do that? Yeah, he's shown he does that on a regular basis. But look, he is not going to do that every single down. He's going to play against double teams. He's going to get chipped. He's going to have all kinds of issues because right now the only person they need to focus on is TJ Watt. Now, Cam, for all of his efforts, he's a great secondary guy that's going to come in there and he can get to the quarterback. But now all of a sudden you've got a situation in which all of those other potential players on the line, if that running back breaks through, who in that linebacking core is going to hold them to a 3-yard game?
Right. And they can double up 2 offensive linemen on Cam.
Absolutely.
Because there isn't anybody to the side of him that you need to double up.
And DG chimes in and says, I know we've said it before, but I watch Bush getting blocked a lot. Well, I've seen Miles Jack shed blockers and quickly fill some holes. And Steve, of course, he answers him. Mark Robinson, a 7th-round pick, was better. So
he's actually really good. The problem is one, he's never played the linebacker position before. 2 is he's a 7th-round pick. So he's like way down on the charts. But he looks more like a linebacker than Devin Bush does. So that's a problem. That's definitely a problem for the Steelers defense.
Yeah, I'm not. I have high hopes for the Steelers defense, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm not.
It's like how many years in a row are you going to watch
then you're probably
Raiders
picking
go
the
down the field
Steelers
on
to
them.
only win 5 or 6 games.
Well, we haven't gotten to that point yet. Our predictions are in 2 weeks.
Our
Labor Day show.
Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes.
Yes. Labor Day show, folks. That's when we're going to have our predictions for the Steelers year. Okay. Let's move on to something here that we also, once again, think
are we done with the Steelers?
We're done with the Steelers
so.
for now.
I think we did a good job.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah. And at this point, I need to take some time and thank you for listening to us on American Busker iHeartRadio. Thank Nancy Hahn for that. iHeartRadio, 150 million subscribers across 2,000 devices and 150 platforms. And we just love it. We love being
We're everywhere.
We love being on there. I do see another comment coming in here from DG. Last thing on the defense right now. DG says, I thought having Brian Flores would help.
Well, we won't know until the regular season. I think it will, David.
We'll see.
I think it really will.
I think the jury is kind of out on that.
Maybe that's
why
Mark Robinson's so good.
Yeah.
Maybe give up on Devin Bush.
So
one thing we know for sure is Brian Flores won't play.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
We might need him.
Okay, so this may come as a surprise to a lot of you, but we still think that the Pirates really suck. Really suck. And Steve actually, he found it necessary to go off on the porcheslive.com and write his own column there. And as you can see in the picture, that is Bob Nutting. This picture's made its round on the internet right now, unwittingly posing for a photograph with a young fan and a T-shirt that says "Sell the team," which I don't think is going to happen. But I think I'm going to let Steve talk about this. On Nesson, which is a New England sports network, Dennis Eckersley made some comments. That's also made its rounds.
Yeah.
No name lineup.
Yeah.
So you guys,
hodgepodge of nothingness.
A hodgepodge of nothingness. I think we should actually make that our byline. You know,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Pirates don't suck. They're just a hodgepodge of nothingness.
Yeah, I'm going to change that on the ticker, so go for it.
So, you know, basically, I think there were some people in Pittsburgh that were a little taken aback by Dennis Eckersley's comment. And the article basically goes on to say, look, Dennis Eckersley is not a shill. The guy lived his whole life playing baseball. He really cares about the game. And then he comes into Pittsburgh. You know, this is his last time, his last rounds as an announcer. He's actually hanging it up. So this guy is doing nothing but talk about the truth. They must have just been in Kansas City because they were comparing the Pirates to Kansas City, which makes sense. They're both small market teams. And then they got to looking at their lineup, and they're like, wow, this team really has nobody on it. Like it's pathetic. He literally used the words pathetic and then went on to say hodgepodge of nothingness, which then caught on fire. And then people got upset about it. And then it's like, well, look at who's on the team. You can't name 2 or 3 guys that are worth their weight. You know?
Yeah, I don't know why anybody was upset with it. He was telling the God's honest truth.
It's very true.
You know,
very true.
And the reality is they have been like this for a very long time. And the ownership is the one who is to blame. And without a change in ownership, and if we keep going to baseball games in Pittsburgh, it's going to continue. It'll probably continue even if the stadium was empty.
Right.
I don't think the guy is ever going to sell.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just a pipe dream. But the reality is, I'm not going to sit around and listen to people bash Dennis Eckersley, a great baseball player who never would have played for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Well, maybe in the 90s when Trubisky was there, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, once they got rid of Bonds and that whole crew, this team has done nothing and will continue to do nothing as long as this ownership is involved.
And we're just going to leave it at that because I think that's all that needs to be said. Yeah, I think it was – we've talked so much on this show about how the media around here tends to kind of try to paint things, you know, with pretty colors, you know. And, yeah, they'll kind of – they'll dip their toe into the water of what's going on. Is it happening again? But nobody wants to say what's really on their mind.
Right.
And
this is my impression of the Pirates announcers during most Pirates games. You turn on the TV in the 5th inning, and the Pirates are down 6-0, and they say, "Well, you know, what do you got to do here? You got to sort of chip away at them. You know, let's get one. Maybe if we get one, we get 2, and then we find ourselves back in the game."
Yeah,
you know, they're constantly saying that.
Yeah. Instead of don't worry, our bullpen's lights out.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I get it. DG says maybe the town boycotts his booze. I doubt that.
What kind of booze does he sell?
Well, remember he owns
Waggle whiskey.
Wiggle whiskey, yeah, Pittsburgh Spirits, Wiggle whiskey, Threadbare cider. We went down that. We went down that road. So one last thing, if you want to catch us, and this is one great thing that I love about what we're doing here is. I'm going to put our website back up, theporcheslive.com. If you're looking at this right now, if you see on the right-hand side that little yellow bar, it says, leave us a message.
Oh, no.
So if you've got something to say, go to theporcheslive.com, click that button, leave us a message, and we might bring your message onto the show.
That sounds dangerous.
Like it.
We might just do it.
I like it.
That sounds dangerous.
And I just want you guys to know.
It almost sounds like a segment that could be called Sound Off.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that after the show. So, guys, the Porch is live.
Rant.
Right. Theporcheslive.com. Leave us a message at that little bar, and we'll get your message on the show as long as it is. Well, it doesn't have to
that picture, by the way. That picture, the way his face looks on there. I know you can't see it on the radio, but everybody's seen this picture of Nutty.
Yeah.
He just looks like a goof.
Yeah.
Well,
that's definitely.
The kid is like, I can't believe I outsmarted this billionaire.
Well, I would think a $50 million profit would help with your smile situation.
Probably.
Oh yeah, he doesn't care about his smile. He's smiling all the way.
Yeah, he's smiling all the way to the bank. So leave us a message, a voice message on theporcheslive.com. So I think we're going to call it a night for the Pirates and the Steelers and all that kind of stuff.
Talk. That's it for me for the rest of the year.
Unless
they win 5 in a row, then I wear the hat.
We're going to move on to it. Okay, all right.
Won't be wearing many hats.
Not this year.
I'm not worried
not this
about
year.
That.
Okay, moving on. Here we go. One of our favorite parts of this show right now. Headlines that mean something. Headlines that mean something. I'm going to put that up right now. We're going to start with Mark's headline tonight. Mark, your headline this evening is...
Researcher not giving up on finding something that can be cured by drinking your own urine.
We were kind of on the same page.
We were talking about that. Now, I apologize to Amy May, my lovely wife, who probably is very unhappy with this conversation. But interestingly enough, believe it or not, this is being done at a very good school. This is being done at Duke University. Okay, we usually just considered a step beneath the Ivy League. Okay, failed attempts so far. Drinking pee has not cured migraines, diarrhea, seasonal allergies, nearsightedness, mild depression, receding hairlines. And
well, you already knew that stuff.
I thought I saw pee in a cup earlier.
We had a segment on the earlier show about that.
and classically, this guy actually wrote a paper, and it was rejected by the New England Journal of Medicine.
Ooh, that's a very prestigious.
The name of the article was this: "A Golden Fountain of Youth." The anti-aging effects of chugging piss.
Oh my God. And they rejected that?
They rejected it.
Crazy.
So, but here's the thing. He is determined, and apparently a lot of his colleagues think he's a little bit off his rocker.
I can't say I disagree.
And he is determined that he is going to find an answer. It's going to cure something. And what's very interesting about this is, this means that he's got people entering this study. He's got a lot of people drinking a lot of pee.
And that means there is a price.
And they're getting paid for it.
There is a price.
They're getting paid
for it. There is a price
as,
you can pay to drink your own pee.
Well, see, as a segue on Off the Grid, on our show right before this, we have a segment called How Much Money Would It Take for You To? And for some reason, out of the blue today, it was before I saw your article. Before I saw your article. My question was, how much do I need to pay you for you to drink a cup of your own pee? I said $1,500.
I said 100,000.
Yeah, but it's obvious he's already tried it. It's obvious. It's obvious.
Clearly, it didn't work.
And the first two things you said there that they very quickly proved that it didn't cure migraines and what else?
Lots of stuff.
No. What were the first two things? It was migraines.
It was migraines, and then the second thing was diarrhea.
And diarrhea.
Oh, diarrhea.
See, to me, that's a no-brainer because I feel like drinking a cup of your own pee or any pee for that matter would actually either cause a migraine or diarrhea or both. So I don't even know why they had to say, we can't get it to cure migraines.
Apparently, a Duke scientist thought otherwise.
Wow.
Yes.
I wonder if he is soon to be.
What are they doing down there at Duke?
I wonder if he's
got to go to pee.
Well,
for the newest.
It is a college and there are parties.
There's a lot of pee at college parties.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's a really good point.
Is he a soon to be not Duke scientist?
Yeah.
That's
probably
what I'm thinking.
And DG says this researcher just needs to accept that he likes drinking his own pee. Listen, if we stay on the pee thing long enough, we're going to go down.
Yeah,
this will become an unfamily.
We must stop it now.
Yeah.
Stop it now.
Determination is the key to pee. Okay. Headline number 2. We're going to go to me this time because Steve was late. He was late, so he's being penalized.
That's okay. Mine's the best.
Yeah, you think so? All right, we'll see.
Although the P one was good.
That was that was really good. Okay, for me, this is something that takes me back to our college days, and all I could think to myself was, I don't know because I didn't do enough research on this, but if they had this round back then, Steve would have been the world champion.
Oh.
The USA Mullet Championship seeks America's best mullets.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's incredible.
That kid's mullet is top notch.
Yeah, but yours was better.
In Steve's defense, I think he only had a mullet maybe freshman year.
Well, he had it longer than that. He had it pre-freshman.
No, I would have had it longer had somebody not held me down and cut it off.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, me and Chuck held him down and cut it off. Yeah, we got sick
It's
of
a
it.
true story.
And you guys wonder why I'm not friends with Chuck.
Right. Yeah. I think it was actually my idea, though, Schwab.
It doesn't surprise
Chuck had the scissors ready.
Uh,
Don't you worry.
but this is the USA
I love
Mullet
it.
Championships.
Business in the
Seek
front,
America's
party in
best.
the back.
Voting is underway for the kids and teens divisions. I love that. Of the USA Mullet Championships, an annual contest to find the best business in the front, party in the back, haircuts in the country.
Very nice.
And all I can say
It'll
is
be on ESPN, the Ocho, soon.
it probably
Mhm.
should.
Mhm.
Mullets are for champions.
Yeah.
Mullets are for champions. Okay,
Love
moving
it.
on. Headlines that mean something. This is Steve's headline. Steve, let you read that up there. There it is.
Chinese man finds out he has ovaries and a uterus after 20 years.
That's a long time.
How did he not know, first of all?
I don't know.
Well, let me tell you how he did not know.
Okay.
He just thought he had like some bladder problems. Like, he
Wow.
was really having some discomfort, and like for years he couldn't figure it out. Finally went to a doctor, and they were doing some surgery, and they were like, "Oh, you have ovaries."
Does he also have a penis?
He does.
He said what I was thinking. He
Yeah.
said what I was thinking.
Okay.
Externally, he thought he was a
So
man,
he's
but
a double.
internally,
Listen,
Yeah, he was
he
a double.
was not.
I don't
Yeah,
want to light any
It's a
fires.
good thing he didn't get himself pregnant.
I don't
That
want
would
to
have been awkward.
Oh my God.
I guess it's possible.
Yeah. Why don't you try that and let us know, Schwaber? This guy actually could be the first natural true transgender.
No, he can't. You know why?
Why?
He had the ovaries taken out.
Mm.
It's
Oh.
all gone now.
Yeah.
So he identifies as a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No matter.
He was like all male, and then after
All
he,
right.
he went through some soul searching. He's like, get rid of it. I don't wanna
Yeah. Oh boy.
Maybe
Oh, God.
maybe it was the fact that he was constantly bleeding out of his butt once a month. What do you think?
I don't think so.
What is-
That's not what the article said.
Look at
Well, either way, it was certainly a Chinese surprise.
Yes, it was. I love scaring the hell out of Schwaber. I love that. All right, we really enjoyed headlines. It means something this
They
week.
were good this week.
Yes,
Mhm.
and thanks for being here and listening as always on American Busker iHeartRadio. We're going to move on. Actually, last week we took a week off from our list. We call them the top 7 at 7. It's now the top 7 at 7:30,
It
but
is.
we're going to
7:45.
debut before. Let me check this. One more comment in here. Amber, too much wonton soup from Tim Pomato. I don't know.
You
I
never
don't know
know.
where that's
You
coming
made
from.
calls.
but
We're going to leave
yeah.
that one alone.
Yeah, we're going to leave
moving
totally alone. So last week we skipped over it, but we're debuting our new top 7 at 7:30 list tonight. And that list is going to comprise of our top 7 favorite foods.
Mhm.
Now, were there some qualifications to
on. Well,
this?
there were, but I kind of broke the rules a little bit.
Well, Steve said it has to be something specific. So it
Right.
couldn't just be pizza. It had to be a certain kind of pizza.
Which you followed.
Which I followed
Yes.
your
Which I did not in my first one, but we'll get
Yeah,
to it.
you
Okay.
actually didn't, but I understand
It's
why.
the only one because you'll understand. When
Yes, yeah, okay.
I
so-
sort of looked at it like this. Like
I agree. You just can't
this
say
is
pizza.
this is like, the electric chair is waiting. You have a final meal in prison. What do you want?
He always
Yeah.
goes there. He goes gun to your head, electric chair.
You're gonna
I
be
mean,
dead.
it's
What
so
are you
good.
doing?
And you notice he's always the one trying to figure out how I became so disturbed. You ever figured that one out? All right, let's start with Mark's. That being said, let's start with Mark's. Mark's number 7 top favorite food. What is that,
Oh,
Brad?
I know what it is.
French onion
French
soup.
Love me some
Soup,
French
yeah.
onion
I'll
soup.
tell you what. Now, and to be honest, there are bad French onion soups.
Yes.
There are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It is an art, and I will tell you, for some reason, it sticks in my head because it was the best darn French onion soup I ever had. Was in Montreal at a place called Les Halles.
Ooh.
Lay sauce.
Les Halles.
Lace holes.
Halles.
Lace hose.
It was amazing. It was amazing. I
It was
still remember.
French.
I still remember to this day. And by the way, Paris 66 in
Oh, yeah.
Pittsburgh.
East
Yeah.
Liberty,
East Liberty, yeah.
Pittsburgh, also has an excellent French
They
onion
make a
soup.
great crepe.
Yeah.
Also.
They do. Yeah. Great,
right.
great French onion soup. I mean, it's just wonderful.
All right, we'll leave it at
Do
the
you
it's
like the
just wonderful
crusty?
part.
Like when you eat it, do you like break up the cheese or do you like let it drip like so that it's dripping way far down, or do you break it up so it's in small pieces so you can enjoy it?
I'm kind of a breaker upper.
Yeah.
I find myself, I love French onion soup,
Mm-hmm.
but I find myself always in a quandary with the cheese
Mm-hmm.
because, like
what-
unless I'm eating it at Panera, which
Right.
they have average French onion soup.
So that's below
No.
average.
Right. Well, whatever.
It's not.
If I'm eating it at a nice restaurant,
Don't
it's
insult me with Panera French onion soup.
I beg your forgiveness. I'm always wondering, like, should I slurp up the? Should I spin
Right.
the
That's what I mean.
cheese?
How
Yeah,
do you
Yeah.
slurp
Yeah.
it, or do you cut it?
that's
Right.
the one
Yeah.
thing that I've
Yeah.
It's
always.
tricky. It can be
Maybe I
tricky.
need to.
It does involve some work.
It does.
And sometimes, you just want to get your fingers involved with the cheese that's
Bad
over the
idea,
side,
bad
but it
idea.
doesn't look good, so
You'll
you got to
burn
pass.
your
That's the problem.
You got to
That's the problem.
pass. Yeah.
Okay, French onion soup for Mark, number 7. Number 7 for me. You guys, I have
Go
no
on,
idea.
throw it up
Yep,
there. Let's
yep,
see it.
Yep. What do you think those are?
Fried clam.
Fried clams,
Yeah,
baby.
Right.
Give me some fried clams
Yeah,
all
that's
the
awesome.
way, man.
Clams.
He knows because we go down to
Yeah.
Woolies in the strip all the time.
Oh.
And I'm like, throw me them fried
He
clams
just
and the
throws them
tartar
in.
sauce.
Like,
Yeah.
he can
Yeah.
get a huge sandwich. Always got to get the fried.
Yeah.
Always got to get the fried
Doesn't
clams.
matter if they're $1,800 a pound. He's gonna get the fried.
Well, that much, Now, if they let me drink a cup of tea and paid me $1,500, it would end up. I'm only down $300.
There you go,
Mm.
and then you would get the clam.
Yeah, I don't even know why I went there, but yes, fried clams to me. I grew up on fried clams. I used to eat the fried clams at Friendly's. Remember
Friendlies.
Friendly's?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
lovely.
Friendlies.
Fried
yeah.
clams
Mhm.
and the fishamajig. Yep, best
Wow.
parts of Friendly's.
Wow.
And the
They must
only
have had a good deep fry.
and fried clams, it depends on where you are. If you're in New England or up in like Nova Scotia, where
Mhm.
I've had them, they fry like the whole clam.
Oh,
If you're
so it's
down
like a
here,
ball.
yeah, well, not a ball, but yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
down here, it's the clam strips.
Yeah.
I prefer the clam strips. If I'm in now when you go to a really nice restaurant, it's rare at best if they have fried clams on the menu.
Mhm.
If I go to a decent to lower restaurant and I see fried clams on the menu,
Fried.
I'm getting my fried
I
clams.
feel like if the prison person taking the order would be like, "Are you serious? Fried clams?"
the prison
No,
person.
nobody's-
But this
Nobody's-
is all. He's got
nobody-
6 more lives to live.
Nobody
after
said
this.
fried clams.
Fried clams never.
All right, so here's where Steve broke his own rule in the top
This
7
is the
at
only
7.
one I did it with.
Here it is, and I think Schwaber, once you see this,
I might be okay.
you
with
might
it.
be able to figure out what it is.
Okay. Well, it's eggs.
It's an
Yeah.
egg. It's an egg.
It's eggs.
It's the incredible edible egg.
And I must say that I had a
Yes.
hard-boiled egg right before the show started.
So here's the thing: like, I couldn't just pick like an egg dish because you can do so many things with egg. You can scramble
Yep.
it.
Yep.
You can just deep fry it. You can get it nice and dippy. So you need a little piece of toast with it. I love the egg. It's so versatile.
you can poach it.
You could poach it.
You
Oh,
could-
yeah.
You could put it in a little piece of
You
toast.
can use it as a decoration on like a sandwich,
a
like
deviled egg, a hard-boiled
deviled
egg.
egg, hard boiled egg. So you can go on and on.
You
That's
can.
why I love the egg. And also, I know this is controversial. Probably is not an egg, but egg whites are also very
Yeah.
No, it's an egg.
I mean, you could say the eggs have legs.
exactly.
That
And
was
you
one
can-
of the dumbest things I've ever heard of on our show, but hey, it works.
Hey, it works. It rhymes. It
I
must
just
be
like
good.
the fact that it irritated you.
But
Oh,
eggs.
my
I mean,
God.
come on.
That's
eggs. Who doesn't
fantastic.
like eggs?
That's fantastic. Now, I love eggs, and actually,
And you can't like say what's your favorite egg dish, because I mean, I guess you could say
Yeah.
quiche, but there are just so
Yeah.
many other things.
but real
Mhm.
men don't eat quiche. You know that already. Don't even go there.
I think quiche is
I
pretty
must
good.
be a
Yeah.
woman. then.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Subarus.
There
And
you
you,
go.
Get rid of that
And
uterus.
you both eat, oh,
I better
Lord
check later. Is that
Almighty.
what you're saying?
Yeah.
Lord Almighty.
I was having some cramps the
All
other day.
right. Number 6 for Mark. Before we get in any more trouble, number
It's
6,
too late.
top 7 at 7:30. Number 6 for Mark.
The Margarita Pizza.
Oh, margarita.
The-
no,
the
that's
wood-
wrong one.
The wood oven,
Wood-fired.
wood-fired Margarita Pizza. I'm a sauce guy. I'm not as much of a cheese guy. And the Margarita is the one where you get the most sauce. And there are some places where if you get this, it's just incredible. Like if you've ever been to like an Il Pizziola,
Yeah.
Mount
Those-
Lebanon down there.
Those are really
I
awesome
don't
there.
like the margarita pizza.
Well, you don't have to.
Is it the mozzarella? Is it the mozzarella or is it the ricotta?
It's the sauce.
Yeah.
The sauce
You
is
don't care.
the sauce is
You
the
don't
key.
care
But
whatever
isn't-
the white stuff is.
What's the difference between the sauce on a margarita pizza and the sauce on a regular pizza?
I believe it's just mozzarella, and
But
they put
that's
a,
not
and
sauce.
they put like
That's
a
cheese.
No, the sauce is the
no,
same.
the sauce.
It's
It's just a
red
lot of sauce.
It's
It's
just a
it's
lot of
almost
sauce,
it's
right.
almost like a tomato
Yeah,
pie.
right.
Oh,
Almost
yeah,
like a tomato pie.
yeah.
So maybe
And they
your
put a
maybe your
little
number
dollop. Sometimes
Right.
though it's ricotta, or sometimes
True.
it's mozzarella.
maybe
Yeah.
your number 6 should have been tomato pie then.
Well, you
No.
don't know what's
I
coming
know,
up.
I
You
know.
could go
Because
with,
I want a
like, the
wood-fired
rest of them-
margarita pizza.
The rest of them could be pizza with burn.
All right. So number 6 for Mark is a wood-fired margarita pizza. All right. Number 6 for Chris, which would be me, is
What is it? Let's see.
another classic Klein.
Of course.
Oysters.
Oysters. of
Oysters
course.
Mhm.
on but
On the hash.
on the half shell,
with
just
lemon juice.
nothing.
No lemon juice.
No.
Makes
Nothing
me want
at
to
all.
throw up.
That's just
Yeah.
that
You
does
guys
make
know,
me want
I
to
know,
throw up a
I
little
know.
bit.
It's
I'm not
nasty.
gonna lie.
I grew up eating seafood, oysters on the half shell. I like fried oysters. I really do. I like poached oysters. I like steamed oysters. But if there's oysters on the half shell and I know I'm in a place where they're fresh, all over it.
You were
All day
born, you
long.
were born on the sea
I was born
in York,
You just
Pennsylvania.
pick them up and just slurp them right down.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man,
Oysters
that's
on the
just-
half shell,
Just
baby.
make me a little nauseous.
And it's also an aphrodisiac. No comments from the peanut gallery,
no.
please. Thank you very much.
Let's move on to Steve.
Number 6 for Steve. This is a good one. I like it.
It's sushi.
Absolutely.
Everybody likes
Yeah.
sushi. Now, you could say sashimi, sushi. I actually prefer the sushi over sashimi.
Oh, you prefer the rolls and the
Yeah,
rice
I do
and
too.
the-
I do
right.
too.
You know,
Yeah.
I like the rainbow roll. That way you get a little bit of variety in what you're eating. I mean, it's great.
I like the
You-
shrimp tempura roll.
I like using the chopsticks.
That's not really sushi. But
Yeah.
anyway, all right.
I'm not
gonna
getting
argue
into
with
the
you.
deep
Take it up
fried
with the
stuff.
Japanese.
Yeah, it's
I like
fine.
using I like using the chopsticks and dipping it in and getting the wasabi just right on the top. It's perfect. I love it. Sushi.
See, I don't use the chopsticks. I feel like I'm not going to try too hard.
Well, it's part of the experience, and that's probably why it's not in your top 7.
There you go.
You are right about that.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. ThePorchesLive.com. Check us out
What do
there.
we got left?
And no, we're moving on.
What we're watching.
Yeah, I think what we're watching is coming up next. So thanks for listening to us on American Busker iHeartRadio. The next part of our show, we like to give you a little insight into our personal lives and how we waste our time so that you don't waste yours.
Yes.
So this week, what we are watching, we're going to start with Mark. This is one that I applaud. I applaud, definitely. Mark, you are watching.
Oh,
Tehran.
God, lie. Mark,
On Apple TV
Mark
Plus.
is a linguist.
yes. He's
Mark
gotta
is
say
a
it the right way.
linguist.
He
Absolutely.
just can't
Tehran.
say Tehran.
Don't ask him to speak
Tehran.
Italian now.
I'm watching
Tehran.
Tehran.
It's also Pakistan.
So this is on Apple TV Plus. It's basically the story of a Mossad agent who's going undercover in Tehran, and things go very wrong. So it is
Very dramatic.
it's good.
Robert.
It for those of you who like watching these sort of Middle Eastern spy type things. It's has kind of a similar feel to like a Homeland, if you've watched that one. So I've only watched a couple episodes. It's 2 seasons, but I can tell it's just going to be really good throughout. So I'm enjoying watching it. You can enjoy it too.
And I'll chime in here and say that I have watched both seasons of Tehran on Apple TV
Yes.
Plus, and it is an excellent show.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent show.
Thank you for your vote of
Absolutely.
confidence.
You're very welcome. It's a rare thing for me.
Yeah.
Okay, what we're watching next for me, a show I just started on Netflix, and I'll be totally upfront with you. I watched the first show. It's called Echoes. I'll take
How was that?
I'll take the banner down here. Just give me a quick sec here so you can see the name. Oh, the name's not there. It's called Echoes on Netflix, and it's the girl that you see there. It's about a girl who has a twin. It's about twins.
Mhm.
Oh,
Okay. And like one of them goes missing, and so the other returns home to try to help find this, and I don't want to give away the twist at the end of the first episode.
Don't give it away.
Because during the episode, I'll again, full transparency, during the episode, what happened is I started to feel like it just wasn't that good. I was kind of like, some of the acting is not that great. I mean, the star does good, but like,
very judgy, judgy.
Well, I'm sorry, but
you get into those shows where you're just like, I'm not sure this is very good, and then something happens,
and that's exactly
what happened. The twist,
the twist with the twin.
I didn't see that coming.
It's a twin with a twist. Once again,
it's cool that you get the twist in the first episode.
Yeah, you do.
You know,
and then I moved on. I got about halfway through the second episode, and the unfortunate thing is there's still some of that campy stuff, but this twist is so interesting that it's captured me. Yeah, and it's a limited series, so it's only one season, and I think it just dropped in the last 10 days. So
I'm gonna guess that the twist has something to do with aliens.
That couldn't be further from the truth. Well, it's the first twist.
Everything.
I don't know if there's an alien twist later or not, Bob. I don't know. All right, Steve. Moving on to Steve. What we're watching. This is something we've seen over and over and over from Steve, but he must really love it.
Well, it was the series finale last week.
Wow,
Last
it's all
Monday.
over now, huh?
It's all over. There's no more Better Call Saul. Although they left a little bit open there in the end. So, I mean, if they really wanted to
So if they get enough voicemail messages, they'll bring it back.
They could bring it back, but no, it's over. It's officially over. I liked how in the final season, they really brought in Breaking Bad in a good way. Like they furthered the story of Breaking Bad by furthering the story of Saul Goodman. And I thought they did an excellent job of marrying the two. You know how sometimes, like, when it's a prequel, you're like, oh, this is a total jump. It was just so smooth and, like, intertwined. And they brought back some of the actors, of course. Just excellent. If you haven't watched it, you absolutely have to watch the final episode and the final season of Better Call Saul.
Saul good, man.
Saul good, man.
Yeah, and I keep promising that I'm going to try to catch up on it. And
well, now you don't have to you don't have to rush because they're all on now.
Yeah, that's true.
Forever.
That's true. All right, guys, anything you want to add?
Nope.
Looks like we made it through the show. So I'm going to take this minute to thank everybody who watches and supports our show, and also thank American Busker, iHeartRadio, and Nancy Hahn.
Thank you,
iHeartRadio, 150 million subscribers, over 2,000 devices in 150 platforms.
They're big.
And they are in all of North America, Canada, United States, Mexico, New Zealand, Australia, and American Busker itself is now all over the world.
Did you know we got an audience in Bulgaria, of all places?
Do we really?
Yeah, it's catching on.
That's incredible. It's catching on.
In Bulgaria.
And Tim Pomato says, thanks, guys. And we will be back next week. I think next week we're going to do our NFL predictions.
NFL predictions next week.
Get yours and bring them to the porch.
NFL predictions, bring them to the porch. Doing up to you. We'll see you next week. Stay real.